Well, the sun is finally up, but those clouds are hanging over the valley. As we're waking up on this Wednesday here on Montana this morning, it's 6:46 outside right now, and it's not very warm either. Miller's going to have a check of the weather coming up. I'm Andrea Lutz. Victoria is off this morning. All right, we are starting with our top story this morning. 2 women serving time behind bars after a few months where the body of a missing girl was found in Bighorn County, Montana. Veronica Dust and Rosine Old Crow are ordered to spend 18 months in jail, and each are fined $2,000. They were found guilty of endangering the welfare of a child and custodial interference in the connection of the death of 8-year-old Mildred Old Crow. Mildred's body was found in a camper near Gary Owen 2 months ago. She was missing since November of 2019. Dust and Old Crow were captured as fugitives in Billings in December. The Crow tribe issued warrants a week before, saying the women failed to produce the child, nor was there any proof of life provided. More charges surrounding her death could be filed, and the Bighorn County attorney says the case is still under investigation. A man awaiting sentencing after admitting to shooting and killing his ex-girlfriend is dead. 28-year-old Taylor Plainbull was found unresponsive in a Basin, Wyoming jail. Bighorn County, Wyoming Sheriff Kenneth Blackburn says jail staff and medical personnel tried to revive him and no foul play is suspected. The Wyoming Division of Criminal Investigations is conducting that investigation into his death. Well, last month, Plainbull pled guilty to second-degree murder of 26-year-old Lenita Goes Ahead. In October, prosecutors say he chased her down, forced her off the road, then shot and killed her in front of their child. 3 days later, Plainbull was taken into custody after a standoff with Billings police at the Roadway Inn. He was facing life in prison. Montana businesses can't turn away customers who aren't vaccinated. Governor Greg Gianforte issued that executive order prohibiting vaccine passports in our state. And on top of that, he says blocking businesses from requiring customers to show proof of a vaccination is not allowed either. The order blocks the state from requiring a vaccine to access state services or facilities, and it also blocks state-issued or funded vaccine passports and sharing a person's vaccination status. Gianforte says he's committed to protecting individual liberty and personal privacy. Today, the CDC will hold an emergency meeting to discuss the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It comes a day after the FDA recommends pausing the vaccine due to reports of blood clots. Today's meeting will include a vote on updated recommendations for use. President Joe Biden said the pause won't have a significant impact on nationwide vaccination goals. A bill to limit the power of local public health officers when responding to the outbreak of infectious disease is advancing through the Montana legislature. The state Senate endorsed House Bill 257. It says public health departments can't enact laws that order a business to deny access to customers. Opponents of the bill say it ties the hands of local health officials trying to limit the spread of infectious disease, but supporters say it's needed to protect businesses.
It is not up to local health officials to sit there and make specific mandates on a private business that at the end of the day will put them out of business. And if a patron does not want to go into that business, guess what? We're in America. It's a free country. You don't have to.
The bill faces another vote in the Senate and the House before going to the governor for signature. And a bill to essentially ban all abortions in our state failed. House Bill 337 aims to put a state constitutional amendment on the 2022 ballot to ensure a fertilized human egg has all the rights of a person. A constitutional amendment needs 100 votes from lawmakers before it goes to voters. The bill faces one more Senate vote, but it is unlikely to pass. Not a single Democrat supported it.
This bill is about human beings, looking out for human beings. This is about civility, this is about decency, and this is about humanity. And I would just urge us to go with our gut, go with our instinct. We know that that baby is a person.
I've had a right to make medical decisions about my own body for 50 years in this country, thanks to the United States Supreme Court. 50 years. So I have a message to the women of the state of Montana. You heard that the governor has a comeback plan. He has a setback plan. He's setting you back 50 years, He's not moving Montana forward. He's setting us back.
Again, the bill is not likely to pass. The officer who shot and killed a 20-year-old man in a Minneapolis suburb has resigned, along with the police chief. However, the announcement didn't stop protesters from gathering for a third night in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Police responded once again to break up the crowd. Officers stopped DAUNTE Wright Sunday night for expired tags and later determined he had an outstanding warrant. The police chief said during a struggle, Officer Kim Potter meant to use her taser but mistakenly drew her gun and fired. A few miles away from those protests, the defense continues presenting its case today in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin. Attorneys expect to call more witnesses to testify serious health problems caused the death of George Floyd and not the actions of Chauvin. The defense presented a retired officer and use of force expert. He believes Chauvin's actions were appropriate. President Joe Biden is set to address a joint session of Congress in the coming weeks. The White House accepted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's invitation last night. The appearance will happen the week the president marks his 100th day in office, and House Speaker Pelosi's invitation asks the president to share his vision for addressing the challenges and opportunities of this historic moment. And today, President Biden announces plans to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. The president set a symbolic deadline of September 11th. This year marks the 20 years since 9/11 and the attacks, and the administration says the drawdown will start on May 1st, which is the original deadline set by former President Donald Trump. A top official at St. Vincent Healthcare in Billings is stepping down. CEO Steve Loveless is moving on after 10 years with the hospital to pursue what he says are other career opportunities. Michael Skian, the chief operating officer, will serve as the interim president. The search for a new president could last up to 6 months. Graduation ceremonies for MSU Billings will be back in person in Metro Park this May. The school plans to hold 2 separate ceremonies on May 1st. Some graduates will go at 10 a.m., others at 2 p.m. And attendees will need a ticket, but there's no limit on how many guests a graduate can have. Rocky Mountain College will hold its commencement ceremony this Saturday, the 17th on campus, and a live stream is provided for family and friends. And the University of Montana plans to hold in-person graduation as well, with 2 ceremonies on May 1st at Washington Grizzly Stadium. Each candidate is allowed 4 guests, and everyone is required to wear masks and social distance. A live stream is also available for that day, too. If you're looking to spend some time outside this summer, you should probably know that it's shaping up to be another busy year. In fact, over 60% of reserved state park campsites are already booked. MTN's Dennis Bragg has more.
Last year was one for the record books at Montana State Parks as people saw camping and outdoor recreation as a respite from COVID lockdowns.
A 29.5% increase, which is fairly large. Almost an additional 1 million people visited our parks.
Occupancy was also up 23% as campsites were filling up more often, with campers using the state park's reservation system to make sure they had a spot as summer progressed.
Saw a lot of people, a lot of first-time park visitors really taking advantage of our park reservation system and using that tool, to really plan their trip to some of our really significant sites across the state.
And with a lot of the pandemic pressures nearly the same as we head into the 21 camping season, thousands of people are already planning their nights out.
So statewide, we currently have about 41% of our nights still available for our peak season. So that is, tracking above average for coming in, but there are still sites available out there.
During the rush last summer, a lot of local residents probably felt it was out-of-state pandemic refuge seekers that were taking their favorite campsites. And while there certainly was a lot of strange license plates at times, the state says actually most of the users continue to be Montana residents.
We do track those stats, obviously, through our reservation platform. When we look at the majority of our parks, seeing about 70 to 80% of Montana residents making campsite reservations. That can be up for some parks. Some parks do receive, a little bit more out-of-state visitation and out-of-state interest.
While many of the big weekends are already full, Doyle says there's still some nice openings, especially if you can camp during the week.
But if you are flexible in your times where you can go out and recreate, I think that really does play into your advantage for getting an available spot.
In Missoula, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.
Well, the state added new campsites for reservations this season, and you can find a full list at montanastateparks.com. Miller, we were just talking about you getting out and camping this summer.
Yes, I'm excited about it. My first opportunity to go camping in Montana. I've had actually a couple of folks have invited me so far, me and my family. So show us how it's done. We've done some camping down in the south, but I'm sure it pales into comparison about what we're about to experience here in Montana. I cannot wait.
It's going to be great.
Of course, I'm going to wait till it warms up before I do that because whoo, it's cold out there. In fact, as we wrap things up with one last look at your forecast, here's your headline: cold, wet, then warm, then dry. Mostly cloudy today. We've already seen a few flakes at the airport this morning. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some flakes as we go along today here in Yellowstone County. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Those snow showers, though, we're looking at Thursday and Friday, and then we're warming up as we get into the weekend. But before that, colder than average temperatures. That cold air blanketing in from the north will continue to hang on at least through Friday. You can see a lot of cloud cover across the city right now. This shot courtesy of the Stockman Bank weather cam. 27 at the airport. Looks like the flurries have stopped, but we may not be done yet. I'm still going to hold on to like a very slight chance, maybe less than a 20% chance we could see some flurries later on this afternoon. Humidity at 75%, so there's enough moisture to tap into. Dew point to 20, but I think these numbers may actually fall. So we have some dry air coming into the mid levels of the atmosphere today, so it may limit our chance there. And the winds are calm. They'll kick back up a little bit later as we go along today, but there's the big thing coming out of the north. Yeah, that cold air blanketing the areas. We take a look at temperatures across the viewing areas. Let's make our way from east to west, shall we? Glendive at 24, Miles City 25, Forsyth at 27, Roundup at 25, Columbus 26, Livingston at 24, colder in White Sulphur Springs at 21, down in Sheridan 23, and just a little cooler in Cody at about 21. Now there is an area of low pressure still over there near Minnesota, that region over there, and that is what that area of low pressure is what's still pumping in that snow, at least into the northeast corner of the state and actually across the High Line right now. But that is not the area of low pressure that we're concerned with, and definitely not the area of low pressure that's going to kick up those winter weather advisories later on this evening through Friday. Along the Beartooth and Red Lodge foothills, we could see 2 to 7 inches of snowfall. The Bighorn Canyon and southern Bighorn here in Montana, Wyoming, Sheridan foothills, 2 to 5 inches, and also in Montana, the Pryor and northern Bighorns, down in Wyoming, the northeast Bighorns, 4 to 8 inches. This is the low pressure we're talking about. It's coming out of Utah, and models are in agreement now. It was a bit iffy the last couple of days, but now it looks like it's going to stay the course. Sliding across the southern border of Wyoming, you can see that snow kicking up. Now, if it does decide to variate just a little bit, like if it goes farther south, then it won't have that much influence on our area. If it stays where it is or comes up farther north, that snow may actually try to reach in maybe center part of the state, but definitely southern parts of Montana and northern Wyoming. As we get into late tonight, all the way through at least Friday morning, we have a chance to see that snow. Then high pressure takes over on the back end of that, sinking out of Canada, so we have this little ridge that will help keep nice and dry as we get into the weekend. So that's making things look a lot better, but not today though. It's going to be cold with temperatures staying mainly in the 30s, and then we get into the 50s Saturday and then 60s by Sunday.
All right, Miller, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us this morning. Have a great day, everyone.